This is the story of many, many, many Indian women. National labor surveys report that approximately 80% of Indian women participate in unpaid care work versus 30% of men. I want to start with a story about my friend Pranati. Pranati has been born and raised in an urban middle class home, and she was raised equal to her brother. Education was given the primary importance in her growing years. Praniti's parents were both working and they could afford a house help, just like most middle class Indian homes. And she and her brother didn't really worry much about the everyday operations of the house. During times when the house help was on leave, or when there was a family emergency, or when there were guests at home, or when there was a party, things somehow sorted themselves out. Pranati didn't know how. She was never asked to help, and neither was her brother. She was only asked to focus on her education, and she did. Years later, Pranati graduates with flying colors, and she secures a job in an MNC, and it was a well-paying job. And that's when she decides to find a partner, marry, and settle down. That's when she meets Vinod. And Vinod says, well, Pranati, there's just one condition that, after we marry, I want you to work post-marriage. Which is fair enough because nowadays working, having just a single income and running the household is quite difficult. And of course, Pranati was more than happy to work because all of these years of efforts was meant to make her financially independent, right? So she agrees to it. And they get married. Post-marriage, like most Indian women, Pranati had to move cities. She also had to change jobs, and she had to take a new role, which was more challenging, and also that didn't pay as much as the previous one. She also had a new home to go to, and she had to get along with her new family. She had to know their tastes, what they liked, what they disliked, how they lived. All of these were taking her headspace while she was doing her new job. Festivals were no longer a passive activity like they were in the past. Pranati realized that she had to prep for weeks before the festival started. She had to get her outfits ready, the decor right, and the food prepping, and she had to celebrate the festival according to the traditions of her new home. Vinod's life, however, remained more or less unchanged. He would go to office, he would come back. And on days when the cook or the house help were absent, things did not somehow sort themselves out like before. That's when Pranati realized that she was the cushion, the one that absorbed every emergency. And that's when she had this realization that all these years, this is what her mom had been doing. Pranati was exhausted. She wanted to take a break from her career. She discusses this with Vinod. Vinod finds this absurd. But Pranati, didn't we agree that we both will be working post-marriage? And given your qualifications, do you want to be a housewife now? We have a cook and a maid. I mean, what else do we want? What more work will be there at home anyway? I think you're just overthinking. Just relax and everything will sort itself out, said Vinod. Pranati was confused. Was she really imagining all of this? Just to make sure, she decides that she'll make a note of everything that she's been doing apart from her paid work. Some of it was visible work, like organizing things, cleaning, cooking, when the house help wasn't there, buying groceries, filling water bottles. Most of it was invisible, like preparing grocery lists, coordinating with the cook and the house help, planning parties, or being the personal assistant for her husband, from packing his lunch to running and giving his car keys and wallet when he's off to work. She also noticed that she was prioritizing house chores even in between her work calls. She would be tending to last minute cancellations, repairs, house repairs, inviting guests for parties. She was doing all of these things. So she goes back to Vinod and she shows him the list. Vinod, this is all that I've been doing. Vinod was surprised. Pranati, he says, this is not work. I mean, my mom has been doing this for years and she never really complained. She did that out of love. But anyway, if you need any help with anything, just tell me what to do and I will do it. Vinod wasn't entirely wrong with this observation because for centuries, women have been doing unpaid care work in the name of love and sacrifice. But those women didn't have the pressures to study and work on par with men back in the day, like the modern women do. So, Pranati, whatever the things that she's been doing aren't imaginary either. It's just that governments and businesses only value work that is paid. All the other work, these tasks for instance, they help in running the house, but they don't directly fuel the economy and hence they are ignored or they're made invisible. Invisible work includes all of the work that is essential in running the house, like organizing, cleaning, cooking, childcare, elder care. But it is not considered work and hence it remains invisible. And unlike Vinod's job, Pranati's job has no break, it has no weekends. Weekend or not, the mental load of remembering things, planning, coordinating sits 24/7 in her head. And even if she decides to take a break from work, she knows that her services will not be valued because she's not contributing any money to the household. Pranati is sadly not alone in this. This is the story of many, many, many Indian women. National labor surveys report that approximately 80% of Indian women participate in unpaid care work versus 30% of men. And close to half of qualified, educated, employable urban women say that childcare and domestic responsibilities are the major reasons that are preventing them from entering the workforce. Globally, 3/4 of women take part in unpaid care work. Why does this matter? All of this additional domestic chores either prevents women from entering the workforce or it limits them from entering leadership positions or high-paying roles. This loss in financial autonomy puts women at a serious risk. Everyday activities of the house. So, for instance, if the house help is on leave, going and washing the dishes while the other partner attends to, let's say, cleaning the floor, should be done on autopilot without being told to do so. Housework or domestic work should be a shared, collaborative effort. Imagine a world where young boys and girls grew up seeing housework as shared work. A world where domestic work is treated with dignity, where responsibility is assumed, not assigned. A world where women don't have to choose between errands and ambition. Such is the world that we need to strive to build. Thank you.